Joey.
Yes.
Herb.
Yes.
Okay, this is a public hearing on the budget, proposed budget. And we can go through it. There's copies on the table over there, if anybody in here. Welcome, everybody. Got a nice big crowd, that's good. I think this is I'll go through the general budget first. And the general budget reflects a 3% raise, which was tied in with the highway department. That's what their raise was, so we kept everybody the same. Town board went to 14,805.22. That's for all the board members together. And $200 for board member training, if anybody goes to the training. Is everybody with me on page 1? Justices, there's salary for 2 judges, 14,638.36, and the 2 clerks, 6,120.26. And then $4,000, that goes to their books and supplies, robes, whatever they have to have there, receipt books and that kind of thing. If I go too fast, just let me know, okay? Supervisor salary, 11,678.14. 2,000, that's for stamps, supplies, whatever kinds of things we get into, we need to buy for the office kind of thing. Independent audit and account contractual, 321, that's secretary gets that for work on the budget. And on the budget, personal services, that's the supervisor gets 535 to work on the budget. That's all at page 1. Everybody all right with that? On page 2, we have the assessor's pay. It's $12,854.40, and his contractual is $4,400. That's for the supplies, mileage. He pays out of his pay. He pays $800 a year for Mindy to deal with any records that have to be pulled and calls to make to him, that kind of thing. So she takes care of that part for $800. But that comes out of his contract. Town clerk, salary $17,699.52. Her contractual $3,810. It went up because there's a lot more to the computers and stuff, supplies and software, that kind of stuff. Attorney pay $9,073.27. $200 for whatever supplies, stamps, envelopes, that kind of stuff, whatever you guys need. Personal services, secretary supervisor, $29,907.87 is her general fund pay. Elections, as per the county, $6,882. That's what they anticipate for next year. Buildings, that's Gerald for cleaning up, and supplies for the hall is the equipment and contractual. Contractual covers fuel and supplies for the hall, that kind of stuff. Everybody else set on page 2? Page 3, central communications, that's contractual, that's telephones, 2,500. Central printing and mail, that's the newsletter, the post office box fee, the printing and all that. And the stamp. Data processing, it's computers to keep them updated and going. Contractual 5,000, that's software to go with them. And contracts, that kind of thing. Insurance, that's MBT Latrimores, of course that's up, we got newer equipment and it costs more to get that in there. We just went through that and made sure we had coverage on everything that's out there, so it shows a little increase there. Association dues, that's our town and county dues. The contingency in case of emergencies on whatever happens to come up. And then the dog control personal services, that's the dog control officer, $6,748.56, and his equipment would be cages and whatever, gloves and whatever he needs there. That's page 3. Contractual, that's to take the dogs to well, we've contracted with Moores, that's 5,000 to take care of that dogs that we get in that have to be taken somewhere else. Personal services, safety inspection, that's Tom, and it's $8,997.05, reflects the 3%. And then his contractual for stamps, receipt books, etc. is $100. We still have $1,000 in there for unsafe buildings if they need to be worked on or torn down or whatever. Put toward that. $100 for Life Flight, that's emergency helicopter service. Transportation Superintendent of Highways, that's Fred's salary, $45,836.03. And then contractual, that's state and county dues, $175. Sidewalks, $18,000. That's page 4. Page 5, union negotiations, it's up this year, we put $1,500 in there for that. And you see the total. Economic assistance and opportunity, that's Ellen's, $20,764.80. And then the librarian, $4,614.40. They both reflect a 3% raise. And then the total. Parks, $22,660, that's salaries for Gerald, the Gales, lifeguards, whoever's working up there. And equipment, $21,000, that covers anything for the park itself, lawnmowers, all that, the equipment that they may need in there. Contractual, that's the gas, electric, garbage, beach test, all that kind of stuff, pumping out the septics and whatever. Playground, recreation contractual, $2,000, that's maintenance of the fields. And then the total. That's page 5. Page 6, personal services, that's coaches. Our program's growing quite a bit, so we had quite an increase. We got a lot more teams than we had before, so we had to put more in there. Their equipment for the youth programs, $2,000, and that covers that. And then we have lime and paint and bats and balls and all that stuff. And then contractual $500, that's a reading program. That's a nice new addition to what we do. Library, $700, that's the same as normal for books for the library. Historian, contractual, Lee's salary, $545.90 for the historian, $200 for supplies, stamps, ink, that kind of stuff. Celebration, we did that already, so that's all zero. Senior bus, $2,000, we've done that for a while now. And then your total. And then down at the very bottom, you have zoning, that's the secretary to the zoning board, that's $3,059.10. That's per salary. That's page 6. Page 7, contractual, that's 150, that's for her stamps and ink and that kind of stuff. Refuge and garbage, the 2,500 came off because that was the old dump site lease, so we didn't have to pay that this time. And then the total. Employee benefits, you can see where state retirement, an increase there. We put the same for Social Security, town share, Medicare, workers' comp, unemployment insurance, and then medical insurance, the town share, that's $12,000, that's Carol's insurance. And then total, and total appropriation for other uses, it gives you the total there. Then we go on to revenues, would be next. Property tax, amount to be raised by taxes, the same as it was last year, $103,723. $103,723, same as it was. Other payments in lieu of taxes, $4,000 was the senior housing, and $146,250 is Noble Power. And interest and penalties, $1,400. That's penalties on taxes. Then your total. And non-property tax items, property tax distributed by county. We can never count on that, so you can't put it in there, because you don't know when you're gonna get it. We did get a shot last year, and you can see it in there for that. Franchise fees, $4,500, that's Time Warner. Tax collection fees, $175. Town clerk fees, $700. Safety inspection fees, $1,000. That's building permits, stuff like that. Park charges, $25,000, we're up there. And then zoning fees of $50. And then use of money and property, interest and earnings, we haven't been getting much for interest, so renting the hall is $250, that's page 8. Page 9, license and permits, games of chance. It's not there. Bingo license is $700. And other licenses like dog license or whatever, I guess, is $900. The next is the junkyard, Dave Manor's junkyard for $25. And then fines and forfeitures, that's $10,000, comes from the judges. And minor sales, you never know what that's gonna be. We put it in, you don't have any anticipation. Unclassified revenues. You can see one was $29,250. We don't get that anymore. Well, that was for the first 5 years, so we don't get that anymore. So I had to zero out. And then Noble Power for Noble Host is $146,250 for the total. And sales tax from the county, $15,000. And mortgage tax was $9,000. And youth program, $400. That's page 9. Okay, so total revenues. $469,323, and then appropriated fund balance $49,696, and then the amount to be total appropriations and other uses $519. Our tax per thousand was $1.06 last year. It's $1.5.5 or $1.55 this year, so $1.06 again. So that stayed the same. Questions on general part of it?
I do have some.
Okay.
Most of them are answered, so I'll go back to the beginning and work my way through.
Or should I go through it all and then have you ask?
It does, whatever's easier. It doesn't matter.
Probably easier to get it all done, because I know her has to go through, so.
That's all right.
Let me do highway, then that way. you
Okay,
can get
that works.
Highway, 5,000 for emergencies, contingency. General repairs, that's the town men's salary for the winter, 78,352.10. Personal services, secretary, $4,627.79, that's Mindy's share of the highway part. And contractual, that's culverts, road patch, et cetera, 25,000. Then your total. Permanent improvements, that's chips. There's $83,460 in there, and there's also gonna be a rollover of $17,720.86 for next year. We ran out of nice weather for it, also. Waiting for the money to come through. Bridges, I put 2,000 in there. No, that doesn't repair a bridge, but, I went from 1,000 to 2,000. We do have a bridge we may need to work on, and if so, we have an account we can pull some out if we have to, rather than to raise a budget on it. Machinery, equipment for the highway, whatever we have, we need $50,000. Contractual 110, that's parts, truck inspection, supplies, fuel, all that comes out of it. The total. Page 2, snow removal, that's a winter salary for the town man, 65,203. And then overtime based on 100 hours, 10,188. I'm on the wrong line, okay, I'm sorry. 10,493, I'm sorry, on the wrong line. That's, overtime. Then, part-time up to 2,000 to cover some of the vacations and stuff, because we have a lot of time to cover. And then the contractual, 58,000, that's parts and equipment, supplies for whatever they break or fix, need to fix. And then the total. And then you got state retirement there, you can see an increase from 25,000 to 36,000. That's stuff we have no control over. Social Security, Medicare, workers' comp, there's this increase. Disability insurance, medical insurance, town share, that's an increase, of course. Is there a increase? Drug testing, which is mandatory. Uniform rental, that's we don't do uniform rentals anymore, we give a flat rate to the guys for their clothes. Total benefits, appropriations, and then the revenues. On page 3. Amount to be raised by taxes, $243,029. And payment of little taxes, $615,000. Contract with Cloud County Roads, $171,344. Use of money and property, interest and earnings, $250. Interest might get a little high, I guess, but that's what we gotta do. Unclassified revenues, $146,250, that's Noble Post, that's the other half the highway gets, $146,250. And then the CHIPS money is there, comes in and goes out, same amount goes. And then appropriated fund balance, 30,000, so total appropriation other uses 674,933. And that leaves their rate per thousand, that same exact thing, well, actually it was $2.49 a thousand. Last year it's $249,339, so it's $249 again this year. Kept them the same. All right. I can take questions now on this too.
I had said this question and I called you earlier and talked about it, the total compensation package for the secretary and the supervisor. I do want to make this known as well, that I know Mindy's here and I want to make sure I say that it is not an attack on Mindy or that whatsoever. It's the position as a whole and the rate of increase at this point in time. When you look at the budget, it's a 6.71% increase in salary for one individual versus a 3% across the board salary increase for everyone else. And I talked to Mr. Ross earlier about it, but I just want to go through and have it explained for those of us that are here as to how that was decided. And when you look at it as an outsider looking in, it's a raise of almost 7% from one individual for a position versus the rest of the town. So I just want to get clarification as to how that
Sure
works.
can, yeah.
As well as the total compensation, because when you look at the salary of 29,000, whatever it is, that's one number. However, we all know that that position includes other salaries that are built in for a total that is substantially higher than the 29,000 when you look at it all together.
Okay, yep, I don't have a problem with that. We had of course replace our secretary, and when we did, she had a contract. Okay, when we sat down, we advertised for this job, and we put together what we wanted to give a new secretary. We had tons of applicants. We went through one night, we sat down and we went through the applicants. I blacked all the names out, everything out, addresses, that kind of thing. And we went through and we tried to pick who we should interview from there. Okay, so we got down to the interview type. Same thing I did, didn't give anybody names, addresses, that kind of thing. And we went down and we picked who we thought were the contenders.
Right.
Everybody that we interviewed got offered the same package. What it was offered is the base pay. The base pay on this was $28,027 for the general fund, $4,493 for the highway fund, for a base pay of $32,520. Okay, that was her base pay. That's what got the 3% added to it. Then in the contract, it says in the contract, and given me a nudge, I did get it typed up. I was supposed to do that, and we did get it typed up. Secretary or supervisor will follow the same pay scale as MEOs. Employees hired after January 1st, 2001 shall receive increases in hourly rate of 50 cents each, at 50 cents an hour each year until they're at the full rate of current MEOs. Employees also receive a negotiated wage increase that the full-time MEOs receive each contract year. So the 50 cents an hour, that's where that came from. That was part of the package. Okay, that was her salary. Now, why it showed on there as an increase was because we didn't have the money in the budget at that point, because we had to switch.
Right.
So once the money came out in the budget, it makes it look like an increase for that particular position. Not a raise, it's part of the package contract.
So really, the starting pay increased by 3.71% then, correct? And then there's a 3% raise on top of that to equate to the 6?
It should have increased 3%
From the 28,
from the, yeah,
okay.
whatever it was. 3% was that. Then the 50 cents an hour got added on to the general's part of it, not the highway part of it.
Okay.
Okay. This was a money-saving tactic used by a lot of places. Instead of giving the whole shot, putting her up to whatever their raise, their
No.
hourly rate is 16 something.
What does the MEO stand for, and what is that exactly? Because you tried to explain it to me today, and I didn't understand it at the time, so I just want to make sure I'm clear on what it is.
Mechanic, equipment operator.
Okay, now where does that salary come from?
That's
Where is that?
negotiated, that's a union, their union negotiated contract.
Okay, and it's a base step, and then there's an increase per year, like a
They get so
3%
much
raise?
an hour. So this would have been the same thing if I'd hired somebody out there.
Right,
According to their contract, they would have started $2 an hour less than the current MEOs, and they'd get that, whatever raise everybody gets, but they get 50 cents an hour added on also until they caught up to the top.
and what is that salary as of right now, that MEO
Their,
base salary?
well, it's per hour, I got it here somewhere. Yeah, $16.98 this year, and then 214 would be $17.49. So then we went through the process, we got it down to within think 2 people or 3 people. And then I made the decision after that, based on what I thought was best for the town. I wanted someone who could handle the job, but also someone that knew the people,
Right.
and that's why I made the decision.
Now, that contract, was that typed up, written, and signed at the time of hire, or is that, I mean, I know that you have it typed up now, but today when we talked, it wasn't typed up and finalized, so.
No, what was typed up before was Danielle's salary, and I wrote notes as the people that were in the interviews said what they wanted on it.
Okay.
I didn't get it all typed up, we were doing an audit. And
So it hadn't been signed by the two parties then as of yet? Because, I mean, a contract has to be signed by, obviously, a member of the town as well as the person
Well, I
being
had
hired.
permission from the board to sign it, so I signed it and dated it the day that she started, because I mean, she already wrote it.
Right, absolutely. I just wanted to make sure I was clear
Yeah.
on all of that. So, did you have like a total number? Because, I mean,
Yeah,
you had told me, like, I think I wrote it down right, 32,524 is the total base pay for that position,
32,520 is the base pay.
Okay.
That's general and highway.
Right.
And then $321 for budget work, $321 for budget work.
Yep.
$800 that was given to her from the assessor's office to answer calls and answer questions for the assessor's office.
Okay.
So a grand total of $33,641.
And now, just so I understand this, that, it's actually a starting base pay lower than, because if you go online, you can obviously see salaries of public employees. And the previous person who was here, their salary in 2013 was 43,270. So obviously that's because of the number of years that they have been
Well, more
employed here.
of it was due to the fact that
It was the assessor's thing?
the assessor's deal that she had with the assessor, she took
Okay.
half his money.
Okay,
And that's how that worked out. So it wasn't more coming out of the town, it was him sharing that half so that she would do part of his work.
and that was approved by the board?
Yes, it was. Anyone else?
Cover the general and highway fund, are you gonna be going over the special districts?
Well, we got you here, maybe we'll have you go over that.
Basically, within the special districts, we have the fire district. And there has been a jump, a sizable jump in our budget from last year. And the reason for that is previously our budget included the volunteers ambulance service. Since 83, 84, the Altona Fire District had a rescue service, and then we moved into a certified ambulance service that initially provided a basic life support service, and then in the very early 90s, that jumped to an advanced life support service, and operated as such until 2000, 2001, 2002. All operated by volunteers. Then, in the last 5 years, maybe the fire company, volunteer fire company, you know, has seen a reduction of personnel available. And the fire commissioners have been, you know, alerted to that fact, and we have been since 2011, been discussing and talking, in 2012, started to act on it, and then in the fall, we put together a ambulance committee that looked at options that would be available for the district. And essentially, we looked at some scenarios of creating a not-for-profit entity that would be created within the fire district to provide an advanced life support level of care, a service that would be contracted by the fire district. And by doing that, then this entity, this not-for-profit organization, would then be able to bill as compensation for their service. There would still be a contribution raised by taxes from the fire commissioner's budget. But that money would eventually come back into the town, in respect that money will come back in to sustain and support this not-for-profit organization. In reviewing that, we found that there would be some logistical issues, especially in the first startup, dealing with personnel, staffing. It becomes a very involved process. And with the fact that there are other agencies, service providers out there, we're now competing against them for personnel. So we also looked at, as an option, of having a contract with an existing service provider. And we put out a RFP for the service provider to provide us with options. 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, or 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we sent out, there were three requests from 3 different agencies, and 2 of them provided bids. One of them provided an option of the 12 hours, 7 days a week. Basically, it was a Morrisonville ambulance service and Champlain Moore's ambulance service. One of the Morrisonville provided proposals for a 12/5 and a 24/7. They providing an ambulance or using our ambulance. Champlain Moore's provided a proposal with a new ambulance and 12/5 service. Unfortunately, the district would have to bear the burden of basically purchasing that ambulance, even though we're not gonna have ownership of it. So it became more of, in order for them to be there, to provide a service, they had to buy the second ambulance, or another ambulance. So it really wasn't cost effective for us to go in that direction. So we accepted, we were also looking at a proposal where we utilize a 12 hours, 5 days a week, using our ambulance, which brought in a cost that seemed very reasonable. But we were back to the situation of personnel in the off hours. Starting January of 2014, as it is right now, we have 6 basic EMTs left. 2 of which did not refresh this past spring, and it's not looking like they're going to be participating at all as ambulance personnel, as certified by the state of New York. The remaining 4, of the remaining 4, one just isn't able to respond, period. Third one, with their work shift now, will not be able to refresh, so now we're down to 2 people. And it has become quite clear that individuals are burned out. They're just not able to respond. And I think anybody who has a scanner, if you're listening, you can hear what's happening. We're calling a lot of mutual aid to provide our ambulance service. And as a result, when the first tone goes out, we wait, and the second tone goes out, and we wait, and there's mutual aid call. By the time that mutual aid gets there, we're looking at 20 minutes. And then, depending where you are in the district, you're looking at 10 to 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. So 20 to 40 minutes before an ambulances are on site. It's not a good scenario. So what we've done is We've looked at that proposal of using our ambulance 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's not a viable option. We've turned to 12 hours, 5 days with an ambulance, or 24 hours, 7 days a week with an ambulance. The cost to provide 24/7 with an ambulance was not much more money. It basically comes down to just the personnel. So with that, are contracting with Morrisville Ambulance Service. They will provide in-house their ambulance and personnel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as a result, they also had an initial startup cost that was a good chunk of money that they needed in order to provide the additional equipment that's gonna be needed. It's about 45 grand. What they've been able to do for us is take that money and spread over a period of time, rather than having it all up front in 1 year. So they worked with us on that, to help keep the tax rate lower. So we are looking with an extended contract period with them to provide ambulance coverage 24/7. And the anticipated start date is January 1st. And as a result of that, with that cost, we're looking at 400. Roughly $402,000 a year. That's rounding up. $401,500 for 24/7. If we had tried to do it ourselves, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, using our ambulance, we were still pushing about $360 some odd thousand. And we're still dealing with personnel problems, evening and weekends.
How many calls do you get a year?
In the average, about 200 calls a year.
200?
So with this contract service, this service provider will be compensated with the contract, but will also be billing those individuals that are utilizing the service.
Now, where's that 600 goes? Goes to that same company you just hired? They're gonna charge us 600 to go to Plattsburgh, so does 600 go to the company you hired, or does that go back to the fire department, or where's that go?
The 600,
Well, for the cost for taking us to Plattsburgh.
that is whatever cost, whether it be a basic call or advanced life support call. It all depends on what type of call it is, will dictate what the cost is gonna be.
Who gets it?
That money goes to, that is a billable item for the ambulance, the service provider.
So they get that.
That goes to that. That bill is sent to, per individual has insurance, that bill goes to the insurance provider for the individual. And then, they have a billing company, and then the payment is either directly to the insurance company or to the individual who is responsible for paying the insurance, or the ambulance service provider.
So now, the way we had it before, we didn't have anybody go, so Moore's came, and they charged us 600 to go to Plattsburgh, right? Or
They-
whatever, depending on the call.
If any, whether it be Moore's or Morrisville, come in for mutual aid, right now, it's exactly what's happening. They are charging that patient, or the patient's insurance company, that cost, whether it's for a basic life support call or an advanced life support call. They are billed. That bill goes to their insurance company.
So the only thing that's changed is we're gonna have quicker coverage. We're gonna pay the same amount, plus we're gonna pay for the company, is that?
Correct. And yes, it is a faster response, they are in station, they are on grounds.
So in other words, we pay their cost for being here, and then they get the money from the.
Correct.
They would be housed at our department?
Correct.
24.
24/7. Because one of the other issues that we looked at was, our ambulance is 10 years old. It's in use, it's in repair. It was not a reliable vehicle to have as a vehicle to be used by whoever came in as our service provider. It just wasn't reliable, and we were very concerned about that. it will be here as a backup ambulance. So if they go out on a call within our district, or if they go out, we are still responsible for providing mutual aid. So if a nearby town or district calls us for mutual aid, just as if we were manning our own ambulance, we are still responsible to respond to that call. Our ambulance is here as a backup service. Whether there's anybody available, is a question.
Now, is this, I noticed on your budget, you're raising, your amount to be raised by taxes is, has gone up $306,950 from last year, but that's, this year, you're gonna, amount to be raised by taxes is $590,950. Which is, I don't know how people are gonna pay. That's my concern, is people who are paying their taxes on that. The total amount for the whole town, general and highway, was $346,752. And, $590, that's almost $600,000, so darn near double what we're taking in for the whole town for the ambulance side. I know it's important, I just don't know the answer, but holy smokes, it's gonna put an awful dent.
The answer of not doing something was more dangerous than doing something. We were very conscious about where our tax rate was gonna go. So for 96 cents increase, our town will have 24/7 coverage. We looked at the tax rate, and we were at $1.22. That was not in the low end, and it was not in the high end of what other districts are providing. And some districts who are even more than that do not provide an ambulance service. There is a contract service with either CVPH or Morrisonville, and that's only the fire district.
Now, you're gonna put out something so the public knows what's going on?
We were looking to put out a letter to advise them what happened, what's going on, and the decision that was made. And we do have a draft letter that we are looking to send out.
Do you have your own stamp? Because I have one.
We had one for the fire department.
But don't buy another one, because I got one.
Yeah, basically, we're gonna use a permit, whichever one it is.
Well, I mean, we paid for a permit townwide already, so, you know.
But basically, it was a very involved discussion about, the tax rate and providing 24/7 versus providing a 12/5. But if we're providing a 12/5, we weren't gonna be very far behind the $2.18 that we're at. For 12/5, using our ambulance, only to have a call come in at night and nobody be available. People are paying taxes, they're still paying the insurance company, or paying the service provider, individual or through the insurance company, and we just don't have anybody available. It didn't make any sense. We had a committee, we had an ambulance committee of 6 people. They're normally that were more active, some were as active. And then, within that ambulance committee, we had our commissioners. And it was a very involved discussion between the two to settle on what we're gonna provide for ambulance coverage within our district.
Anybody have any questions for him?
Having the 24/7, do our EMTs that are available, they still have the option of going and
It was-
assisting, or is it?
It was made very clear to us that Morrisonville will encourage those individuals, whatever we have left for EMTs, to participate. They are hoping, and what they have seen, what they have found is, when they created their service, their volunteers increased within their district, or their coverage area. They encouraged their EMTs to participate. If they don't wanna go, that's great, that's fine, they have that option. But come January, we'll have 2 people that will be available. it isn't gonna work. As a former rescue squad captain who operated the ALS service in this town for 15 years, I know right now, it isn't gonna work with two people. And that's why we've had to go in the direction we did. Is, again, if I could, I wish I could truly convey just how involved our discussion went during our final meeting on what we were gonna decide.
And ultimately, the goal would to try to be to do the nonprofit, but in order to set something like that up, you're looking at, logistically speaking, at least a year out, and in order for us to even gather information and make sure that it's even cost effective and actually gonna benefit, is gonna take more time than we have on 2 EMTs.
It is not a dead option. It may happen in 6 years, but we still have to go back and revisit that.
Or maybe we'll get lucky and we'll have a surge of volunteers.
Correct.
No, if we had an interest in the future, someone that wanted to become certified, would the department still provide?
Oh, we have money in our budget to provide that
would
basic
still
EMT
be
training.
something that.
And then there's some reimbursements from the state too for the training. So that cost is recovered for the training as long as it's submitted in a timely fashion. So,
You want to be aware too that Noble Power is only under contract for 15 years. So, at the end of that 15 years, if they don't re-up, you're gonna lose a lot of money in a hurry.
well, based on the assessed value of the property.
So, I mean, just to let you know that, it's not a,
But we're not part of your pilot program.
no, but you're,
But even if those towers are still there,
they're not gonna be assessed at $2 million a piece. if
well,
they're
maybe
up.
not, but just because a building is vacant, or whether it's in operation, the value doesn't change.
Yeah. I think-
But basically, part of this budget also includes, whether people really follow what's been happening within the Altona Fire District. We've had an addition that we needed badly. An addition that we've taken advantage of, the money that was there, because of these increased assessed values. We're not gonna sit back and carry a zero tax increase, not when that money is there and to be used. We have to take care of our infrastructure, and we've been doing that. And that's paid for. Now, we also have a new fire truck that we badly needed. And also, that is we have 4.5 years,
Or
4 years left in that. And that we paid. So, that expense for that new fire truck is also within this budget. So, but we also have to look at, we have another ambulance. Even though we have a contract service, we can probably get by for 5 years without having to have a new ambulance. But once that is gone, that fire truck is gone, the payments are gone, we still have to look at making sure that the rest of our infrastructure, and that may be a new ambulance, has to be replaced. Granted, that money's gonna be there forever, it may not be there forever, but we're gonna take what we can take while it is there. And then maybe in year 6, we revisit the issue of, we have our own entity created where we can provide this at a lower cost. Definitely the costs aren't gonna be the same in year 3 as they are in year 5. Neither will the cost be for us if we approach this not-for-profit organization, because we're competing against some of these other agency providers with personnel, with salaries.
theoretically, hopefully it would create new jobs down the line, but again, that's a hunt and recruit and logistics.
5 years.
5 years at 500, or
No, it's 401,000.
401,000.
It changes, okay. They've guaranteed the same for 2 years. In year 3, we have the last prorated initial startup cost. And then there is a 3%, was it, just
No,
2% increase just for the salaries of employees.
but then the other costs are gone. So it
And then our
kinda-
other costs, which is 15,000 per year is gone. So it basically balances out.
I have a question on the charge. If, say, someone perhaps is on Medicaid, will they take just what Medicaid pays, or are they gonna bill that person who cannot afford to pay $600? What's gonna happen then? Are they gonna take them to small claims court? Are they gonna sue them, or what?
They have not had that situation within their service provider area, where they've taken people to court.
They have, they work well with the insurance companies, and then if it comes back on the individual, you would contact their billing company directly, which I assume would be on a bill that they would send you that information. And they said they are a very good company, and that they really work with people.
Well, there was one person in town that received multiple bills
Right.
for multiple trips. And when you're a senior and you get a $600 bill, like 6 or 7 times a year, that's a lot of money. And that's, you know,
I'm not sure what service provider that came from.
it was Morrisonville.
Okay, then, whether the billing should have been submitted to the insurance company
It was.
or to Medicare, whatever the situation may be. It's my understanding, and
And
I'm
that
not.
person received a bill for $600 every time.
Right.
Because he came in and spoke to Larry, he spoke to me, and I think he spoke to Carol.
So when you ask for a service, no matter where it is, you're gonna get billed for it. So whether it's 1 time, twice, or 3 times, you're gonna get billed 3 times if you ask for it for 3 times.
Well, I mean, if they would have to notify him if they sent to collections, so if he hasn't been notified that it was into collections, then it didn't go to collection.
Well, no, I didn't go to
No, he paid it.
collections because he paid it.
Right, but, so basically, whether he had the opportunity to be submitting that to, again, whether the insurance company, Medicaid, Medicare, whatever, and they would have, compensated him for whether 100% or whether it be a reduced amount, that's between him and his provider, his insurance provider. But it's my understanding that in discussing that with them, very similar to doctors, how the doctors are paid, there is a set rate that the insurance company, Medicaid, Medicare is gonna pay, whatever that may be. That's what it is.
Or
Okay.
maybe
Now-
everybody should just ask them, like when you go to the doctors, you accept assignment, and then if they say yes, then that's all they're gonna get.
Now, if we had set up our not-for-profit entity, it'd been the same scenario.
I'm sure.
So, these people have to be compensated for the time, because it is not cheap for them as a not-for-profit organization, where they're going through this training, and they have the overhead just like any business company does. There has to be compensation for this service. And again, that was something that was discussed in great detail at these meetings. It's not gonna be, once this starts up, there will be some, I'm sure, some issues. We have set up a liaison, if you wanna say, between the service provider and the fire commissioners. So we are kept abreast of any issues that are coming up, that either we as the commissioner need to resolve, or are following up to make sure that they're taken care of by our service provider.
Anybody else? Anybody else for questions?
I think more or less just a general statement. What Mr. Loudway said makes a lot of sense. If the money's coming in right now from Noble and they can afford to do something like this, I mean, it makes sense to do it. I'm in a district where they have not increased the tax rate for a number of years, and now all of a sudden we're in negotiations and they're saying, oh, we can't pay any more because then it's gonna be a problem with the tax rate being above the cap. If the money's coming in now and they can use it effectively, it makes sense to use. I understand it's not gonna be there forever, but it is there now, and if it can be used to benefit the townspeople, that's the goal of having that money come in. It's not supposed to just sit in an account or be used for allocated for random things in the future. I think it can be used, it should be.
Okay, any more questions on the budget? If there are no more questions, we'll close the special meeting on the budget. Need a vote.
Jeannie,
Yes.
Herb,
Yes.
Ronnie,
Yes.
Joey,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes. Now we'll open the regular town board meeting for the reading of the minutes.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for coming in.
The regular town board meeting, date October 7th, 2013, time 7 PM at the Altona Town Hall, Altona, New York. Supervisor Ross called the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance and board members present. Supervisor Larry Ross, council members Herbert Terrian, Ronnie Labarge, Jeannie Bushy, Joey Snide. Others present, Deputy Supervisor Ellen Montgomery, Highway Superintendent Fred Terrian. Minutes of the September 4th, 2013 regular town board meeting were read and accepted. Motion by Joey, seconded by Ronnie, vote all ayes. The town clerk presented the tentative budget to the board. Resolution number 4074, public hearing, preliminary budget. Motion by Herb, seconded by Ronnie. The motion was adopted. A public hearing of the preliminary budget will be advertised in the Press Republican by the clerk and held on the first Thursday after election, November 7th, 2013, at 7 PM at the Altona Town Hall. The regular town board meeting will immediately follow the public hearing. Vote all ayes. Resolution 75, purchase equipment for the park. Motion by Jeannie, seconded by Ronnie. The motion was adopted. The board approves the purchase of bases and a goal post for ball fields. Cost not to exceed $4,000. Vote all ayes. The board received a financial report from Tom Montgomery, Codes Officer, for the activities from his office from January to October 2013. Chris Murnane, Project Manager for Murnane Building Contractors, presented a proposal for the work on the powerhouse. A decision was tabled until the board had an opportunity to study the plan. Resolution number 76, ad for pickup truck. Ad for pickup bid. Motion by Joy, seconded by Ronnie. The motion was adopted. The clerk is authorized to place an ad in the Press Republican for a bid for a 2014 3/4-ton diesel pickup truck. Sealed bids will be opened at the November regular town board meeting. Vote all ayes. Resolution number 77, Supervisor's Report. Motion by Herb, seconded by Ronnie. The motion was adopted. To accept the Supervisor's Report as presented. Vote all ayes. Resolution number 78, approval of bills. Motion by Jeannie, seconded by Joey. The motion was adopted. To pay the bills as presented. General Fund, $38,421.18. Highway Fund, $87,017.69. This Street Light District number 21, September, $174.14. October, $175.19. Street Light District number 1, September, $882.45. October, $889.14. Teamsters dues, $195.50. Teamsters Health, $9,395.76. Total, $137,151.05. Vote all ayes. Motion to adjourn by Ronnie, seconded by Joey. The vote all ayes. Respectfully submitted, Carol Relation, Town Clerk.
Have a motion on the minutes?
I'll make a motion, I accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
And a vote, please. Herb,
Yes.
Jeannie,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Ronnie,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is open bids on the pickup truck. There's 4 bids. Adirondack Chevrolet. The Town of Altona Town Board, please find enclosed our bid and specs for a 2014 Chevy 2500 3/4 ton crew cab 4x4 diesel pickup. Bid price $41,900. We do have this truck in stock and can be delivered to you within 2 days of notice. Thank you for the opportunity to bid in this truck. Adirondack Chevrolet, it's $41,900. West Air Ford, wherever that is, looks like it says here. Let's see. Yeah, West Air Ford. Dear sir, West Air is pleased to submit our quote for your bid request of 3/4 ton crew cab with short box truck. We have proposed a 2014 Ford F-250 truck in accordance with your specifications. Please see the enclosed documentation. West Air is looking forward to doing business with the Town of Altona. What's the price here? Total price. Total bid price is $34,825.
34,000, what, right?
$34,825. I don't know where, that's in Hamburg, Florida, Hamburg, New York is.
Next to Buffalo.
Buffalo. I think we have a 50-mile radius, didn't we? Yeah. Let me write these down for that. Riley Ford. And it is. Let's see where now, kind of it is here, it's a Ford, but I don't know if it's a, say what it is. Riley Ford bid $34,879.30. Oh, F-250.
These are all 3/4 ton?
Yeah.
Are they all diesel engines too?
Yes.
That last price was really good, I was just wondering.
What's that?
That last price was just really good, because Dad has a diesel pickup truck, that's a really good price.
Yeah, well, don't forget that we can get state.
Yeah,
bids.
you get a lot of money back for it.
Right, they need to make it that right.
Yeah.
Adirondack Auto. And this is for a Dodge, 2014 Dodge Ram 2500 Crew Cab 4x4, $39,677.
Well, that's the cheapest,
But it's different.
that's the long range. Yeah, here, Riley's in the
Well, it said 50 mile radius. So, if they meet the specs, I would say that it would be Riley Ford that would get the bid. They're the cheapest ones that are close enough.
Oh, yeah.
What was it,
Yeah,
total?
34,879 and 30 cents.
$54 more than, $4.30 more than Westmore.
But the other one's outside, we had put in there a 50 mile radius,
Right.
so he didn't really meet that. So, I mean, if Riley met the specs. Taking all my stuff, you wanna watch your phone? So I would think that, if they meet the specs, and maybe I go through the specs, but that would be the one. All right. I wanna be able to order that right off, because winter's here, I mean, it's spitting snow today, so, we should,
Need a motion?
I'd like motion to pursue that if they meet the specs to hire Riley Ford to.
I'll make a motion that we accept the truck from Riley Ford for $34,879, is it?
Yeah. I'll second it. That's pretty good.
And a vote, please. Joey?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Herb?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Next thing on the agenda is resolution to approve the agent agreement for decals. We have to read this whole package here?
No,
Killing me.
only if you want to.
And it's an agreement to sell hunting and fishing licenses, and every 3 years you're supposed to do another agreement.
Well, what it is that our decals has changed vendors, and they require a new resolution. Well, we have the agreement, which will advise we do one. If we make a resolution accepting it, it's just basically gives me the right to sell hunting licenses like I've done for.
You have the old one, is this the same as the old one?
It's almost the same. I do have the old one, and it's almost word for word. I do have it, but I don't have it right here. You want it? I can go
I
get it.
just wanted to compare a couple things.
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah, but it wasn't around here.
Yeah,
They weren't, in fact, they probably were as much or more. I've got them. I was just going this stuff here. So I just want to compare that pretty quick. if I could.
I lied, Larry.
You lied. Keep that.
Where's my green book, yeah? I don't know what I did with it.
Here, you can just tell me.
Yeah, it's almost word for word.
The only thing I saw, and they didn't know.
What was it?
this, Pay a commission, I don't understand, is that when they pay a annual commission? Us, the
Yeah,
town
that's,
has a commission?
yes,
Okay,
they pay
then I
us,
understand.
yeah, they pay us.
The way it looked from the outside.
No, they pay us.
Okay, that satisfies. Is the town board all have one of these?
Yes, they do.
Because it's like 10 pages, I'm not gonna read it all if we don't have to. Everybody wanna hear all that?
No.
You sure?
Sure.
I need a resolution to allow Carol to sell licenses.
I'll make a resolution that we accept it as written.
That needs to be signed by you, does it not?
No, it's been signed right here. It was notarized,
Doug signing.
and I've been to school,
No, this is for Carol signing.
okay?
Oh,
And all I need to have now, actually, if I just mailed this in, then they accept it over here, and they sign that.
The resolution should be for the approval of this new agreement and authorization on the town clerk to sign it on behalf of the town.
Did you get that, Carol?
Yes, sir, I did. Okay, we're gonna vote?
I'll second that, Carol.
Thank you, Joey. And a vote. Larry?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Herb?
Yes.
Need a resolution to adopt the preliminary budget?
I'll make a resolution.
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, Ronnie and who?
Her, second.
And a vote, please. Jeannie?
Yes.
Herb?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
Clinton County Highway Department deer signs. We had a complaint with deer being in the village here running around getting hit. I called the county, it sounds like we're gonna get them. So they said what they're gonna do is put them, the whole entire length up through there, so. You can tell her that, it was the next day, so it should be coming soon. So that, just informational. He said he would do it. Board of Assessment Review number 5, I'm gonna have to table that until next month. I didn't get a hold of the number, I never could get a hold of, so I'm gonna have to table that one. Clinton County Treasurer, you'll see this in your reports, but enclosed, please find a check, number 60852, in the amount of $13,709.17. This check represents your town's portion of mortgage tax distribution for period April 1st to September 30th from the county. That was just informational. Feinberg Park financial report. I know we waited for this for years, but we finally have some pretty good numbers there. You should have it in your packet. Revenues coming in from the park this year, $47,114.29. Expenditures, the salaries are $17,910.24. Electricity, trash removal, and supplies, and probably pumping the septics, $9,250.75. So the total profit this year at the park, and we waited a long time to hear profit out of there, $19,953.30. Of course, that's a profit this year. We invested quite a bit of money in the septic, and we're starting to get some of it back. And the park is just about full already for next year, so that's a good sign.
Yep, you have extra copies of your park
What did it cost us for the park?
Yes,
I think everybody got me in there, did I keep them?
the board did.
Yeah, all the other things.
Yeah, the board did.
We ended up with.
Is that what you're asking, Wendy?
No, I didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it.
On number 8, on your FEMA,
Oh, yeah.
Fred did a lot of work on the Harvey Road, and I went to Plattsburgh, went to a meeting, and I decided to go ahead and apply for the money that he put in. I got $6,495.60 approved, so we're getting that back. Library grant, Deanna Gregory got $200 grant for the library. She's gonna use it to buy new books. And she was also published in Trailblazer, what's that, a magazine?
Is that Clinton Essex Franklin Library?
And for the program, it's an excellent program. If you haven't seen it, it's really, really good. In fact, the people from the county came and they said the best they've ever seen. So that was really good for her. Youth Commission funding has been approved already, $305 for that, and then the service part was $274. All been approved and okay, that's probably the quickest we've ever gotten that in and gotten on with everybody.
Is that for the 2013 year?
That'd be the,
Or
yeah,
Yeah.
14?
No, it was 2013.
13. Okay, on the next thing is the Purdy Road. We have a resolution to settle the lawsuit on the Purdy Road. And this has already been gone over by all the people involved, and this is what it boiled down to, and it's gonna be put out by the, ordered by the judge, I guess I should say. And what it boils down to, I mean, I'm not gonna read all of it to you, but what it boils down to is this. The road itself, the whole lawsuit was whether or not it's a town road, and if so, you know, who's responsible for what kind of thing. And the judge had decided that what would happen here, and all parties concerned agreed to this, that the 900ths of a mile that the town of Altona gets CHIPS fund is exempt from any of this. That stays the same. From the end of our 900ths by the military turnpike to the end of the state property will be qualifiedly abandoned by the 205B, which means that the town doesn't have any responsibilities to upkeep it. If it does get developed, it could then turn back over. The town could accept it back if they wanted to, and that kind of thing. That allows people access in from the Grand Hill, or from the military turnpike. The other part up until the wind park would be abandoned back to the people that belong there. They would get, they would have to have that gate that's up there moved, and the gate would not be able to be locked. And the people, anybody that owns property through there can go through there, and would, no problem, that's all part of it. And what else? Oh, the only other ones that can use that end would be DEC and emergency vehicles. And then everybody was covered for their rights. And then the releases had to be signed for each party that was involved, and it all comes down to this resolution. Resolution to approve the proposed settlement agreement with respect to the litigation entitled Spinner versus Town of Altona, index number 2011-0772. Whereas plaintiffs Gerald and Kathy Spinner commenced a lawsuit against the Town of Altona, the town highway superintendent, and other defendants with respect to a dispute over whether Purdy Road, a roadway running in the east-west direction between Military Turnpike and Grand Hill Road, is or ever was a town highway, litigation, and whereas the plaintiffs commenced the litigation seeking, among other things, a determination regarding the status of the Purdy Road and the rights of the parties with respect to using the Purdy Road to access the plaintiffs and defendants' respective properties. And whereas the plaintiffs and defendants are desirous of resolving the issues raised by litigation and reaching a global settlement of all the issues and claims raised or which could have been raised in this action and proceeding by any party with respect to the status of the Purdy Road and the rights of the parties in accordance with the proposed settlement agreement to be so ordered by the court. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Altona as follows. Town board hereby approves the attached settlement agreement, which is incorporated herein by reference and authorizes the town supervisor to execute the agreement. Town supervisor, the town clerk, the town highway superintendent, and the town special counsel are hereby authorized to take any additional steps as may be required to effectuate the settlement of the litigation in accordance with the agreement. Pursuant to section 68 4 of the town law, the town board hereby determines that the terms in the agreement are just, reasonable, and in the interest of the town. This resolution shall be effective immediately, passed and adopted this 7th day of November 2013 by the town board of the town of Altona. So that's the resolution we need to adopt to end the proceedings. This is the agreement that I just briefly told you what was in it, and you're welcome to read it, to whatever you want to read it. So I need a motion to, a resolution stating, as I just read here, I guess, this resolution to approve the proposed settlement.
I'll just put that in minutes. Is that what we're going? We need a resolution.
Well, I got past that resolution.
Okay, this is the resolution we're gonna pass, and we'll, I'll put this whole thing in a minute.
Yeah, but I need a copy of it.
Okay, but so do I.
Boy, she's ready. Anybody make a resolution to end this lawsuit?
I'll make a resolution as read.
You accept that? I'll second it.
In a vote, please. Ronnie?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Herb?
No.
Joey?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes. And, well, there's a lot.
Need this one.
Yeah, I'm not done yet, I got a lot of stuff here.
Okay.
Okay, supervisor's report was next, and then a motion to accept the supervisor's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the supervisor's report.
I'll second.
Ronnie?
Yes.
We're voting on the supervisor's
Yeah.
report. I'm sorry, I had a mental lapse there. Ronnie? Larry?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Herb?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
You'll notice on there that all bank, accounts are on there, shows you the totals and stuff. The bank reconciliation, we can't do the October one because we moved the dates moved up, so we have to wait for the statements to come in, but everything is up to date on the one you have. Motion to pay the bills.
I've got just a question on the bills on the highway class. Did anyone attend that class?
I don't think so.
Well, that's what I knew it was going to be.
Where was it?
It was $400.
Zachary risk management one, they
Oh, the $400.
$400.
That was one they didn't make, that was in Saranac, I think.
Saranac, Linda.
You went to it?
Did everyone attend it?
They're all right.
That's the only question I have, so I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second. In a vote, please. Ronnie?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
Herb?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes. I'm out of order here a little bit because I had to add some on, so we need to sign for the bills. We usually do that last, but
You can sign. In the line.
thank you. We all set on bills? Next thing, we did vote though. Next thing, it says standard workday resolution, there's two of them, and Carol, you have those, a standard workday, there's two, one for elected officials and.
Elected and appointed, and one for the secretary.
Yeah. We've been in trouble for that for months, because we had to keep collecting that data, and it's a pain in the neck, but she's got it all straightened out, and she's the first one been able to get along with it. You have that those two resolutions, Carol.
And a vote. Okay, Larry,
Yes.
Jeannie,
Yes.
Herb,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Joey.
Yes.
Standard workday resolutions, I think you have them both.
That was it.
Yeah, but we gotta, there's two different ones, and we gotta,
I don't know anything about this.
I guess she couldn't put everything in there yet anyways, until she got it, so just
Well, I
gotta,
didn't want to
Gina,
put everybody's
Jill.
social security number or anything in it.
yeah,
so-
just
Yeah,
gotta
she
give me
doesn't look
permission to
any
sign
of
it,
that.
so I guess.
So what do they
as
have to do, Min?
I'll finish filling them out tomorrow, they just have to pass the resolution.
Yeah,
Well,
okay, that's what I thought.
Okay,
retirement.
that was my fault.
It is.
It was that workday, standard workday where you had to collect all your hours and stuff.
The resolution should be to adopt the standard workday resolution. Is there more than one resolution?
There's two.
There's two.
Resolutions for employees as set forth. The resolution's in this form.
And like has the form numbers on the top.
Okay.
That was one.
Next is New York State. New York State Workers' Compensation Commitment Report. I need everybody to sign one. And I'll explain it here in a second. Let me just get off. Anybody that works for the town has to sign one. It says in early 2014, WCB will be moving to a paperless environment by introducing the claims program. This program requires employers to complete a new C2F form when reporting an injury. If you do not have a supply, well, who cares about that? Promptness of reporting will be extremely important. The WCB has reminded us that a $2,500 penalty may be levied against the employer if a claim is not reported within 10 days of an accident. That's probably you, Fred, that's gonna have to worry about that more.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna see the injuries before we do, Fred. So we have to have those turned in. And everybody that gets any money from the town has to sign them. Even Joe and Carol too.
You got one for Fred?
Got a witness.
It's right on camera, so everybody's witness. I'll sign the witness statement. Yeah, she'll have to sign one. Did you sign one already, Mindy?
No.
No, one for Carol. In case you get that, I got some numbers.
I'll handle it. It's gonna cost me. You know that, Joe. Keep passing.
I'll sign the witness statement after. Or Mindy can, one of us can both witness it. Yeah. Put together and sign. You holding out on me, Carol? Carol?
Yeah. You're paying attention.
I'm watching my camera. Next thing is, we're almost done, folks. Office of State Comptroller sent us a pamphlet to show what kinds of things that we should be looking at since our audit to make sure things don't happen again. I've been through it. It's pretty good. I think that everybody got one. And I think we're all in compliance there now. We're doing what they've asked of us. The report will be coming out soon. It's not, they didn't give us anything yet, but this is anybody that's been audited to show you what you should be doing to make sure it doesn't reoccur.
I'll tell you, I went to that class in October and it was a very good class. It's what to look for.
It's important, and people don't really know that if you haven't been involved. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I have a meeting in Plattsburgh. I'm gonna go in and try to see if I can get a grant for a salt shed. It'd be nice to be able to build that at the same time we're building the town garage and get that salt undercover where it should be. I'll know more tomorrow after I get done that meeting, but there's money out there and it sounds like we've got a pretty good chance if we may have to ask help people writing. I don't know what it's gonna entail, but if that money's out there for us, we might as well try to grab it and see if we can get a salt shed and get this pile put somewhere where it's undercover and safer for the town. I think I covered everything. It just seemed like I had a ton of things, but, what else? We did vote, we'll make this in the minutes also, that we did poll the board to vote on buying the new box for the dump truck that we needed. And
You called
and it was all yes, huh?
You called it.
Yeah, I polled everyone. And also, I have to start talking to engineers to get this building program going. I want everything done so that in the spring we can start building, and I have to start doing paperwork. If we get this paperwork all done, spring maybe we can put some boards up someplace and get something done. This probably won't mean anything to it, it's just. Anyone else have anything to bring before the board?
Fred, when do you move to the 5-day work week?
We still have to vote.
I just have a question about the website itself, now that I have the right address. How often does it get updated?
Well, usually sometime during the month we put something on, may not have everything, but.
Okay, now, when you pay for the website service, because I went to the provider, did you pay like the one yearly, or is it like every month they're supposed to be updating stuff for you, or do you guys?
I do it.
You have access to do it?
Yeah.
I've been updating actually almost every day this week.
Okay, because when I looked, to be honest, I thought it would be easier for me, because my schedule is so different, to just access the proposed budget, the tentative budget online. And I talked to Mindy. Mindy was very gracious to print out copies for me, so I appreciate that. But if it would have been put up online, it would have been easier for us just to go in, click on it, print it ourselves. And even like the meeting that was tonight, it's not the normal night, and if that would have been put on there, and I didn't see it at the bottom. I will say the website's a little harder to navigate, and that's the way it was set up by the company, I'm sure. I think there could have been an easier way to just, like, the homepage should have everything right there. I clicked on like where it gets to the board, and it was like, holy crap, what am I looking at?
Or it was under meeting dates.
Okay,
And it
so
was
it's one of those little, because I'm on my mobile and I'm trying to go down. The homepage would be the easiest page to maybe put that
Yeah, when
stuff.
it's set up like that though, I tried, and there was no programs to pick from within their system.
Okay.
And they had already paid the company.
And you
to
paid
do
for a
this.
year subscription?
Yeah, with her updating.
Okay, can I make a suggestion for the future? There's a website called Weebly. It's a free version, a lot of the teachers at school are using it. It's much easier to use. You literally click and drag stuff over, and then you can type right on it. And you can update that in a matter of seconds. My kids are gonna learn how to use it this year, but it might be easier for you too. Because I've seen website programs where you gotta click on everything. It might be an option in the future. I know that you paid for this one, and Weebly is free. You can pay for a version to get your own URL address, but it's free if you don't want that. If you want .weebly attached to it and you don't care, it might be an easier option for you. And easier to update too.
Worth looking into.
Okay, Larry, Joe says we really should do a resolution on the box.
Resolution,
Even-
that was an authorization to purchase, I would do a resolution now authorizing it.
Okay.
They polled them, everybody agreed, I think it should be done at a meeting.
Well, I think at the last meeting, we agreed to it, but we didn't write it in the minutes, so we tried that.
Yeah.
Purchase a box for Fred's truck.
How
We
much
need a
was that?
vote. I don't remember
I'll
the
make a
price.
motion that we accept the box.
I don't remember the price of it, Fred.
I'll second it. It was 22, wasn't it?
We can put that in.
Yeah.
So do you need a
Can we do a
motion to pass
vote?
the resolution? You
Yeah, we need a vote, okay? Ronnie?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Herb?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes. All right, if there's no more, a motion to adjourn?
That's it.
I couldn't say that.